Hello, ladies and gentlemen, and welcome to episode 12 of Let's Kung Fu. Tonight we are just going to be talking about tournaments. I flip over to me, I hope. Yes, excellent. Um, yeah, so tonight we're going to do something a little bit different. I am probably not going to show you any video games at all. Uh, There's a couple of reasons for this. One is I have been trying to avoid just showing you StarCraft 2 all the time. Been trying to gauge opinion on making this just a StarCraft 2 show or not, but it occurred to me that I do have other things to talk about that are not just related to StarCraft 2. I can talk about some more broad esports concepts. Because I have actually had some experience with some of them. So I wanted to just sit down, and this is going to be literally nothing but you guys looking at me and me talking, um, hopefully for 30 minutes or so. Um, we haven't really done an episode like this before, so I don't know how long this is going to take. We're going to find out. Hopefully this isn't just going to be 5 minutes. So, tournaments. I have participated in a few tournaments as a competitor, and I have run a few tournaments as the primary organizer, and I'm actually getting ready to run another one where I will also be a commentator. So I feel like I can actually speak a little bit about this subject. Um, just to give everyone a little bit of background, I have competed. I've played in online tournaments like the GeForce Pro-Am StarCraft 2 tournament. Obviously I competed in MLG Anaheim. Um, I've done some other little online tournaments. And I also competed in one of the King of Palantir, actually the first King of Palantir StarCraft 2 tournament, um, which I also organized, which was a actual LAN tournament. Um, I participated obviously in the After Hours Gaming League as well. I was the team captain for Palantir as well as one of the players, though I only actually got to play one game in the season. We had too many players on in Palantir who were better than I am. So yeah, I only played when absolutely necessary. Thankfully, that was only once. But for Palantir, I also have organized two King of Palantir StarCraft 2 tournaments, with our third being next month. The first one was very small. I think we had maybe 12 to 16 people total competing, split between our DC and California offices. The one last year was significantly bigger. It was open to the public, both to watch and to participate in. I even, Spun Ishiwa came and helped with commentary and did a show match. Day 9 showed up and commentated on the matches. We had north of 30 people participating in that tournament. And again, this was a LAN. This was all in person, though we did have people at, again, our DC office and our New York office, in fact, as well as our California office. Though that was the primary hub of everything was in California. I flew out and ran all that. The one next month is actually, I'm going to pimp this out a little bit to anybody who's watching. It's the third annual King of Palantir tournament. I have sort of scaled it back, but I've also changed it up significantly. It is open to the public to come spectate, but if you want to play, it is only open to employees of Palantir and Facebook. We have kind of a friendly Palo Alto rivalry going on, so I just thought it would be fun, especially since I got to know a bunch of the Facebookers through the After Hours Gaming League. It will be live streamed, and it will be commentated by myself and from the AHGL captain for Facebook, which should be a lot of fun. I promise I will be way less boring commentating on an actual game live than I am doing this show, because I'll have a co-caster, someone to bounce off of and try to be funny. I'm sure I had to point to all this. Oh yeah, you can find out some details about that if you're interested at kingofpalantir.com. or you can email me, feedback@letskungfu.com. But the reason I'm going into all of this is I wanted to talk a little bit about what it's like playing in tournaments, being team captain, and organizing tournaments. I will probably start off talking about what it's like to play in the tournaments, because that's honestly the easiest part. Um, Also, I don't have the most experience in that, don't have quite as much to contribute there, but I can just explain some things that first-timers might not know. Most tournaments, uh, most LAN tournaments, which are ones you actually show up to, provide computers. That's not always the case in King of Palantir, for instance. You have to bring your own computer. We just don't have enough spares that are capable of playing the game. But if you go to MLG, they provide the computer, they provide the monitors. You have to bring your own peripherals. I've already shared the story of how I got caught a little unprepared for this last MLG because I wasn't expecting to compete and was already in California when I found out that I was going to be. So I had to have my wife overnight me, my keyboard, my mouse, and my headset, so that I would have gear. They will frequently have a warm-up period available to you. Don't count on that, though. If you have a laptop that can play StarCraft, I would totally bring it with you, to the hotel or whatever, so you can get warm-up games in prior to your matches. Let's see, what other useful little tidbits can I share from my relatively mild amount of experience here. Brackets are hard. Don't expect a lot of advance notice for local tournaments for brackets, just because registration tends to run until the very last minute because they don't want anyone to not be able to play because they couldn't get there early enough. So you tend not to find out who you're going to play until really close to when it's time to play, which can make it exciting. It makes it much harder to prepare. LAN tournaments obviously are much simpler. You're playing from home on your own equipment, and they close off registration whenever they want because it's all online. And then if you just people don't show up, you just get buys. It's not as big a deal as when you show up in person. So you tend to get a lot more advance notice of who you're going to be playing, so you can actually prepare strategies specifically for at least your first round opponent. And you can even tend to see who, if you win, you can see who your next opponents could be. So there are definite advantages there. I actually like online tournaments a lot, just because they're so much more convenient, and it's easy to find a no-name online tournament where you can, if you're trying to make money playing or you just want to get some tournament wins under your name, you're much more likely to find something that way than relying on local tournaments, on LANs. The LAN tournaments tend to be much bigger and they tend to attract big names that are just going to win because they're probably better than you because they do this all day, every day. And they're students and bastards, and I hate them all. And I don't mean that. I'll go hearts to all the pros. All the Korean guys. As much as I was joking about getting crushed by them, Slayer's Clyde and Kawhi Rice were both super friendly and nice and awesome guys. I keep going off onto crazy tangents. So yeah, player experience. Don't expect a lot. Expect to be surrounded by people. Expect everything to be confused. You just have to kind of grin and bear it and try to be patient and make the best of it. And when in doubt, ask someone that works there. They may not know the answer, but hopefully eventually you're going to find somebody that does. Because at the end of the day, without the players, there isn't really a tournament. It doesn't work very well. People aren't going to show up to watch no one play, obviously. So yeah, I'm just going to call that it for playing in tournaments. Team captain. This was kind of weird. So for those of you who don't know about the After Hours Gaming League, if you're watching my show, I don't want to know what rock you've been hiding under. You can find out more about it at ahgl.tv. Basically, it's a league for tech companies to compete against each other in StarCraft and League of Legends, and hopefully in Season 3 more cool games. Um, where I'm hoping to find out Season 3 details soon. But each company has, a roster of 10 to 12 players per game, and team captains for each game and all that, and it's up to the team captains to do all kinds of stuff. And team captains have to get all the player bios for the website, get all the pictures together, make sure you've got everyone's character codes and BattleNet IDs, and you have to schedule all of the games, and you have to figure out who's playing on what map, and you have to make sure people know what channel to show up in, what time. You have to coordinate all that stuff with the other team captain as well, though not usually. The lineups you don't tend to share with the other team. You have to pick ace players, and you end up having to referee frequently in other teams' games, so you might not get to watch your own teams. You have to submit summaries of your matches when your team wins, which means even though you didn't necessarily get to watch your own team's games live, you have to go back and watch all of the replays, which you have to manage to get your players to send you, which sucks and is hard. I'm looking at all of you Palantir people who are slow at getting me replays. But you have to watch all of them. Have to get everything submitted by deadlines. You actually have to submit the results of all of your team's games if the referees failed to for whatever reason, which happened a lot. It was a ton of work to be the HGL team captain. That said, it was fun, and I am going to continue to do that until they kick me out and make me stop. But hopefully they won't do that, because I think I did a pretty good job. But I mean, the same is true, the same is going to be true for captains for other teams in other leagues, if they have captains. It's all about coordinating all of your players. Hopefully coaches and managers are going to do some of these things, so some of this should overlap. But yeah, it's about, being responsible, not just for yourself, but for your team. I won't begin to tell you how many times, it was 10 minutes before a match and a player wasn't there, so I was scrounging up phone numbers and sending frantic text messages going, "Hey, dude, where are you? We've got a game." You've got to be flexible about, rescheduling things, or accepting when your player just isn't going to show up. You're going to have to take a forfeit, and all of this, which is surprisingly stressful for just playing a video game, right? I have more things to say. So just, your brain just kind of walks away and says, "Yeah, I know you wanted to say more things, but I don't care." My leg's falling asleep, which doesn't help. But yeah, so there's a lot to that. Obviously most of the stuff's going to be HGL specific for the team captaining, just because that's what I did it for. Though I imagine it's going to be the same, even for League of Legends teams. I'll have to have a captain, that they're setting the strategy, setting the tone for what you want your team to do, making on-the-fly tactical decisions, and you have to be someone who is sufficiently well respected that people are going to listen to you. That's not to say that you get to give orders, because they can just ignore you, but you don't want to have to. You just want to be able to say things and have people accept that those are the correct things to do, because they trust you, they have faith in you. This is not taking long enough. I really felt like at the start of this that I was going to have significantly more to say. I feel like we're about 13 minutes into this, and this is a bad thing. But that's okay, because I can probably talk for significantly longer about running tournaments. So, I missed out on Brood War. That's not to say that I didn't play Brood War. I played original StarCraft. I played original Brood War a lot, all the time at school. It was my favorite game in the world until StarCraft 2 came out. But I didn't know that there was a real scene for it. Like, I heard that there was this whole thing in Korea, but I didn't really know anything about it. I didn't know that there were big tournaments and stuff like that. Um, I was just kind of clueless. So the first tournament that I ever actually saw was Day 9's King of the Beta tournament for StarCraft 2. And I don't know if you guys watched this. You watched his daily episodes about it, watched the tournament itself, but one thing that he kept saying was, how much work was involved and how hard it was. And at the time, I was watching this and I was going, Day 9, come on, you're milking this. This is not this much work. You're just being a wimp. And after that, I ran the first King of Palantir StarCraft tournament was just a few months later. And I've got to be honest, I piggybacked off of another work event for that. But at the time, I was still like, this is a piece of cake. What is he whining about? He just wants us to feel sorry for him. The first King of Palantir tournament, while very fun, was not a real tournament. There was no logistical preparation on my part. I had no idea at all. It wasn't until the second King of Palantir tournament that I properly understood just how hard running a video game tournament is. To give you an idea, Palantir was awesome. They provided space. They provided some really awesome operations guys who helped me, get tables in place and get dividers up and make sure power drops were everywhere and get monitors up on the tables and all that. But when they, and of course Palantir provided food and the cool first through third place I Don't Suck at StarCraft 2 trophies for the winners. And they kind of footed the bill, which, what other company is going to pay for a StarCraft tournament that's open to the public? But arranging everything was on me. I had to coordinate with our art department to get posters made, and I had to I set up a whole website with a registration system, and I had to build brackets, and my website had replay submission forms and a random map picker from a map pool that I specified, and I had to coordinate with Day 9, arranging for him to come out, coordinating with Spanishiwa, and coordinating with all of the players to get them accounts, to let them know what they needed to bring with them, let them know where things were. I had to help set up the our front desk and a registration system. It was supposed to all be streamed live. We wound up doing an internal stream for all kinds of complicated reasons that I don't want to go into. But I had to coordinate with a AV guy who came in from the outside. There were all kinds of technical problems. I had to build the computer for Day 9 to use and Spanishiwa to use. It almost broke me. Sean can tell you, or Tristan, or any of the guys who were at this tournament and helped make it so amazing by playing or commentating or Spanishiwa with this show match. I was so frazzled. The day before the event, I was confident. I was pumped. Everything was going to be awesome and fine. And the day of the tournament, just we didn't wind up broadcasting to our other internal sites until 3 hours after we were supposed to start because of technical issues. Our AV guy had, there was miscommunications, and he had to go all the way back to his office to get equipment and come back, and that took hours, and There were a couple of points where I just didn't think it was going to happen. Like, I didn't think we were going to pull it off. Yeah, heck, we didn't have any place to put the players that wasn't where the commentary was. So, like, you had to worry about players being able to hear all the commentating going on. We found this little room where we could shove players in, but only two at a time because there wasn't power, so we used that for, like, the semifinals and the finals so that they at least would have sound out isolation. There wasn't enough electricity, the network didn't want to work right, and I'm an IT guy, so, it's like, this is all my job to fix, other than the electricity, at least. Uh, it, yeah, no, it was the hardest thing. Heck, I even had to coordinate swag. We had really sweet King of Palantir mouse pads. I swore up and down. Oh, actually, before I go into that, it gets even better. So, I wanted to, I got Day 9 to come out. I wanted to hang out with Day 9, after the tournament finished. This, at the time, seemed like a reasonable thing. Like, we'll go out, we'll get some food. This was the first time I'd ever met him. And, I'm a big, huge, giant Day 9 fan. I should have worn my Day 9 TV t-shirt. But I'm a giant, giant Day 9 fan. And I said I really wanted to go out and, have a meal with him or something. Get to know him, say hi. All the things that I couldn't do during the tournament because I was too busy running the tournament. And so, teardown took hours and hours. And Sean was a trooper and hung in there. Just talking to people, talking to the fans, because that's who he is and why we, as a community, love him so much. And eventually he, went off to dinner with, I think, Tristan and all of the, a bunch of the other Palantir guys, while I continued doing Teardown for several more hours. And what was great was, during Teardown, a transformer outside the building exploded, knocking out power to the building, and shutting down the elevators and closing all the fire doors. And we were up on the 4th floor. So we got to hand carry these hundreds and hundreds of pounds of AV equipment in the dark down 4 flights of stairs, out the back door. And then to wrap it all up afterwards, that was also, we had servers in that building. So when we were done, because there was no power and therefore no air conditioning, I also had to then go in and do some work after the tournament. It was like 1 in the morning after this, 20-hour day already. I had to, shut down servers and oh god, it was so bad. The really scary thing, this will show you how naive I was and how I thought I could do everything. I was registered to play. I played in the first King of Palantir tournament. I was like, yes, I will be a competitor in the second King of Palantir tournament. That was such a laughable concept now, looking back, that I really can't even describe it. I think, obviously, I wound up simply forfeiting my match while I ran around trying to fix everything. It was extra fun, actually, was NATO, the Team Microsoft AHGL captain, sorry about that, from Season 1, showed up because the AHGL finals were the night before in town, and showed up and asked to play. Thankfully, another one of our Master League players didn't show or canceled or something, so I managed to swap him in the slot instead of giving someone a bye. But again, these are the crazy things that are going to happen to you if you try to run a tournament of any size. I mean, Jesus, this was, 30, 35 people maybe playing. This is not a big tournament. Now, we probably had 100 spectators, but from my perspective, this is not a giant tournament. This is not MLG where you've got 160 people playing StarCraft 2. 30-something. I mean, excuse me, I'm gonna actually stop for a drink of water here because I'm coughing too much. Water. I prefer caffeine, but I figured since I'm literally going to be doing nothing but talking this episode, some actual water might be a good idea, so I can hopefully not completely kill my voice. Running tournaments, yes. Yeah, I mean, there's so much stuff you guys, like, you just honestly, you'd never even consider. You know, what kind of food are you getting for everyone? Are you getting food for everyone? We did. You know, drinks, same thing. Seating, you know, do you know how many people are going to show up? You know, we did a registration system for spectating, but lots of people didn't register and just showed up on the day of, so, you know, we had to just guess. We did not have enough seats for everybody. There was just no getting around it. You know, are the players going to be somehow corralled off from the spectators? We weren't able to do that. So, you know, during the early games, up until the semifinals, when we could stuff people back in the little hidden room, all of the players had people breathing down their necks, spectating all game long. It was actually really funny because Tristan had day 9 hovering over his shoulder watching him play throughout the tournament, which had to be a little awkward. Are you gonna are you gonna allow map vetoes? You know, heck, another funny story. Poor NATO played and actually did really well. He and Tristan both got eliminated in the semifinals. And it was only at this point that it occurred to me, at the tournament live, that I had trophies for first through third, but I didn't have a game scheduled for between the two losers of the semifinals to determine who got third. Oops. And, you know, we didn't have time. We were running behind as it was, so I basically just had to make something up. I said, okay, which one of you lost the fewest individual games? And it wound up only being a difference of 1, but okay, cool, bam, Tristan, you were 3rd place, NATO, sorry, 4th. Which, if you're watching, I feel really terrible about. I know I've told you about I told you about this at MLG in person, and actually probably at the HGL. I felt so bad about that. I really wanted to get you guys able to play each other. But again, these are things that, like, it just slipped my mind. I was so busy making the brackets and making sure that, like, seeds were good and, you know, low-level people were, you know, the masters all got buys so that, you know, some of the lower-level players would be able to get, like, a game or 2 in before they all got eliminated. That, you know, you missed the blindingly obvious, like not having a way to determine who's 3rd place. You know, the electricity. Is there enough electricity for all the computers you're going to have? I didn't think about this. I assumed it was a big room. I'm sure there's going to be enough electricity. Again, thankfully, my operations guy said, oh, yeah, you know, no problem. You know, how many computers, how many monitors, and we figured it all out. So, yeah, I mean, if you're going to attempt this sort of crazy tournament hosting undertaking, for the love of God, if it's a LAN, get help. I mean, the day before the tournament was most of the monitor setup and stuff like that, and we spent probably a full day doing setup and testing the day before the event, minus the AV stuff because that guy didn't show up till the day of the event, and then I probably spent like 12, 13 hours the day before, and then the day of was again at least like a 20-hour day, making sure D9 knows how to get to where the tournament is. Thankfully, he was staying with Tristan, so that wasn't a big deal. But making sure Spanishiwa knew how to get where we were at. The AV guy got lost and went to the wrong Palantir building the first time around. Testing all of our equipment, which didn't work and had to be replaced at the last second. Yeah, I mean, there's that was the single most stressful thing I have ever been through in my entire life. Uh, and clearly I learned from the experience because I'm hosting another one next month. But like I said, we don't have Day 9 coming, we don't have Spenny Shiwa coming, we don't have a third-party AV person, it's all going to be in-house. So, we should have a lot more time for testing, and I shouldn't have to worry about, like, travel arrangements or paying people or anything crazy like that. Should be a lot simpler. I'm hoping, I'm praying. Please be simpler. I don't think I can take that again. So yeah, I feel like a LAN would probably be much simpler to run. Just because you don't have any of the physical stuff to worry about. Though there you have whole other issues, people cheating. It's a lot harder to keep an eye on them. Make sure people are who they say they are, and blah blah blah. But yeah, there's a lot less infrastructure work involved on your part. Though you have to make sure your website's a lot better than the crappy King of Palantir website that I set up last time. So yeah, I'm actually right around my 30 minutes, which is awesome. Go me. But I'm not done yet. Well, I'm sort of done. I'm probably not going to talk anymore about running tournaments or anything like that tonight. I'm just going to do some general housekeeping. There's a couple of things I wanted to tell everybody about. As always, I want to remind you, questions, comments, concerns, feedback, please email me. Feedback@letskungfu.com. We have a dedicated Twitter account now, @letskungfu.tv. And we have a Facebook page. Facebook/letskungfu or Facebook/pages/letskungfu or something. However the hell you find pages. So please follow me on Twitter, like me on Facebook, send me feedback. I would really like to know if you guys want to see should I just jump to StarCraft 2 stuff and just occasionally do episodes like this, or I just occasionally go off topic but talk about esports stuff, and maybe occasionally random other games, kind of like Day 9 does, or should I keep trying to spice it up and do other games on a more regular basis? I would really like to know. I have gotten a pretty cool preview of what my intro video is going to be, so hopefully in the coming weeks I will have something awesome to show you there. I'll have a little intro. My theme music is being delayed, which sucks. I'm kind of bummed, but there's not a whole lot I can do about that. But hopefully I'll have something cool there. I actually feel like this has been a pretty good episode. I feel like not talking about StarCraft, I've been a little bit less dull. Hopefully, for all of you, again, this is the sort of thing that you can email me about and tell me, and then I would not have to guess, and I would actually know. It should fill me with joy. At some point, I'll probably talk to you guys about coaching. I'm not offering my services, but I do coach some of my coworkers, and I feel like there's interesting stories I can tell about that, and information I can provide that people who haven't done coaching or have done coaching, but only from the receiving end or only from the giving end. I have been coached by professional players. I have given coaching, though not to professional players, obviously. So hopefully I can shed some light on that. Maybe in the future I'll do an episode on that. That's pretty much all I've got. Hopefully this was a good episode for everybody, and I will see you next week, hopefully with some more actual video game content. Thanks so much, guys.